MetalmanX here. And you know what goes together like peanut butter and jelly? Samurais, demons, and mecha. This is the Akai Oniwaka Kiyomori from MJZ Studios. And as always, this review is brought to you by Gundam Central. They're my go-to place for anything third-party or independent release, so make sure to check them out. The link will be in the description. Alright, so let's take a look at the Akai Oniwaka Kiyomori from MJZ Studios. Now I'm 100% sure I just butchered that, so we're just going to call it the Akai from this point forward. So this is a new independent release that just came out at the time of the recording of this video. And I have to say I am very impressed with this kit. So it comes in at about 23 centimeters once it is fully built. And, honestly, the design of this is extremely sturdy. It does have some flaws in the shoulders that we'll talk about. But other than that, this was a very enjoyable build overall. Now, one of the big questions about this kit is, does it have an inner frame? And yes, it does have a pre-assembled inner frame, but it's not a metal frame like you might expect. In fact, it is a plastic frame. And I'll be honest, at first, when I saw that, I was very concerned that it would not be able to hold up. But as you can see here, I'm just holding it by one leg, and it is holding up really, really well. Easily able without the backpack, and even with the backpack, you can get it to stand on its own. Now, this is the first edition of this kit, so there are some things that will be unique to this review, unique to the first edition of this kit in this review. So let's go ahead and start off with articulation. So you get a lot of articulation out of this kit, really good movement in the waist and the legs. You got a great sliding gimmick right there, as well as a sliding gimmick with hydraulics in the leg as well. Now, one area of concern with the articulation is in the shoulder pieces. These are really, really, really cool. They, have independent motion in them, and I'll show that when I pull those off. But they are only held in by this bar. And while the bar does have motion in it, it is only up and down. So this will block some posing on the kit. So it is easily removed, but still, that is one down point right here. Is this can kind of get blocked up and everything else because it moves with the arm. You can't slide anything past it. It's going to move if you want to still use that elbow joint. It's going to be there pretty harsh. Or it'll be there pretty much in the way. But other than that, really, there's not a lot of posability issues with this. With the backpack on, it does very much limit what you can do with the head, but that's kind of par for the course. All right, so speaking of the head, and we'll get back to the shoulders here in a bit, there is the ability to open up the back here and insert this little effects piece, which kind of acts like a ponytail. You can have it in a few different directions, but it holds in really nice, which I really like that. I like the aesthetics of this kit, the idea of kind of this demon, which is always a cool thing with mecha malachas. These demons and samurai-esque aesthetics really do go together. Now, you do get the options of 3 different faces on this kit. I went with the more samurai style. You can have a closed, I'm going to set this down for a second, a closed mouth option. and one without a face guard, which is really interesting to have. Now, it only comes with one set of eyes, so if you want to change out the face, you are going to have to completely disassemble the head, which is a bit of a pain. Now, on this kit, all I've really done is a bit of panel lining and water slide decals. The water slides are of really decent quality. They are a little bit thin and very close together on the sheet, which makes them a little hard to work with. Kind of moving on to the shoulder pieces. Before we get to the accessories, I'm going to pull these off. So they slide up like so. These pop off all the time. I was going to talk about them in a minute, but they wanted to get talked about. These do pop off quite a bit. Before I move on, actually, really quick, you do have storage in the knees for the little beam holders, which are beam blade holders, which is a pretty interesting thing, but they are extremely loose. I'm not sure if I'm just missing something there on how that's supposed to be done, but they are pretty loose. All right, so taking a look at the shoulder, and I love the design of this. It has multiple points of articulation. This part can slide out. This part can slide backwards and bend out. So you can get a pretty cool amount of articulation on this. The middle part also has some articulation on it. So this is probably the area where I feel like the kit's the weakest, is with these shoulder parts, because they really do stick out and make it a little bit hard to pose the kit, but you can still get a lot of really good poses out of this. Just know that whenever you pose it, you're really gonna have to think about how these are gonna go. So moving on to some other aspects of this kit, you have some green pieces, clear green, that look absolutely amazing, light up great under black light. Lots of different ways that you can have this together, and options when it comes to how you display it. So these can be pushed in to reveal no green. I actually really like the quilted version here. I like having that pulled down, and it's just a nice little snap mechanism right there. These are articulated here on the legs. Those are fully articulated, so you can have them kind of pushed out a bit, or you can have them up close to the legs, just depending on what you want to do. Lots of clearance here on the hips. You do have fairly decent movement on the feet, which can give you plenty of posability. One thing I do want to point out that is super kind of funny in a way, let's see if I can get a good shot of this. The sticker here on the foot, instead of doing some generic like caution thing, they actually just use the text for created in 2023 by their studio, which I thought was really funny. A lot of the generic small text is actually just kind of promoting the studio, which I thought was really funny, just in general. But you know, from far away, you're not going to notice that. I just thought I'd point that out. And I double checked. I made sure I didn't accidentally like put on like the copyright sticker or something. But no, that's the sticker you're supposed to put on in actually multiple places on this kit. So kind of takes you out of the illusion of it, but still really nice, really well put together kit. I'm not worried about it falling apart too much outside of these guys that like to pop off. The rest of it, super solid build. So let's talk about some of the accessories, including the backpack. So if you don't want to use the backpack, it does come with this little thing here that can just pop in, and hide that backpack slot if you don't want to have it in there. So the backpack is a really cool piece of kit. So you may notice the panel lines on this seem a little bit different than what I normally do. For the black pieces, I actually use a light gray, just kind of testing out the waters to see how it turned out. Let me know in the comments what you think about the use of a light gray on the black for this kit. I think it turned out fairly nice, probably a bit more practice with it. And I might start implementing that in future builds. This attaches on the back just like any seed or wing style backpack. It does have some articulation up here, a little bit tight, but that's just because I haven't messed with it too much. So you do get some articulation right there, and you attach these little thruster style sections, which do have individual articulation on them, as well as an opening gimmick for what looks to be, if I can get that in frame, some like bomb style munitions in there. And what they do is they attach like this. So the backpack, once put together, looks something like this, and you're going to want to be extra careful with these guys right here. Get it off. This piece right here has a very, very thin attachment point that wants to break. So be very careful with these. I did break this one. So just a fair warning to be careful with that attachment point. It's supposed to move, but it's very, very stiff, and mine just sheared right off. So using the 3mm holes here on the side, you can attach different things to it, like the big sword here, or the staff and gun on the other side. So this just simply attaches to the back. So now the attachment point for the stand is on the back here. So keep in mind. Now, since this is the first edition, it does come with a display stand, which we'll take a look at here in a little bit. But you can attach the different weapons onto the backpack. So speaking of weapons, we do get an amazing looking sword here, and they did a great job of where they put the nub marks, or the nub placement on this. You also get this pistol. You get these that can attach in the hands for a little sickle, a little beam weapon, kind of dagger, or kind of a sword. And you also get a smaller sword that attaches to the hip. Overall, I really like what they did with the swords on this kit. This one's a bit more flimsy in the plastic, but that's okay. It turned out really nice. Finally, you get the staff, which in the standard version, you can plug in this piece or any of the other beam pieces. But because this is the first edition, you also receive this really amazing scythe beam effect, which works really well in this and looks great. It attaches using these guys. So it attaches there. And attaches there. And you got this really awesome beam scythe. So looking at the base, you do have a movable base right here. I can move. up and down. There's not any up side to side motion there, and there's no real motion here at all either. It is a pretty, just like, this is where you have to set this kind of stand, which I get with this type of base. It's meant to be displayed inside of it. I do wish it did have some more articulation, but you know, not too bad. I like the texture of the base itself, and the flames are really great. If you were to use this in a blacklight setting, it would end up having this really cool kind of smoky purple and white look to it, which is really nice. All the pieces here, the clear pieces, do have some kind of transparent effect. The green's a little hard to pick up on camera, but it glows super bright. So if you are someone that likes to do black lights of your builds, this is a definite plus for this kit. So along with the base, you get these 2 demon heads. Pop that one off. Let me take a look at that up close. Now, of anywhere on the kit that I might have had some fitting issues, this was it. I built this first, and it really worried me that I was going to have some issues. But really, after I got past this, it was very much smooth sailing in general. I do like these a lot. I think they look great. I do wish there was more articulation with these, so you get a bit more dynamics in your style. But overall, I think this was a really great little addition to the kit. I really do like these. And for pre-order bonus, you know, I like that they included such a detailed stand. I think that they could have just, you know, ignored that, but they went whole hog with it, and I think I commend them for doing that. So for a score, I'm going to give this kit a B+. I thought overall it was a fantastic build with lots of details and designs. I like the inner frame, even though it is plastic. I felt like it was super sturdy, and there hasn't been any issues with holding the weapon. As far as issues with the kit, the shoulders definitely prevent a lot of articulation. I wish they would have had more movement on those. And the backpack, where those little covers for the veneers are, they are very easy to break off, so be careful with that. This kit comes with a lot of really nice first batch perks. The base, it looks great. A little bit of dry brushing on that, and oh, it would look amazing. The scythe effect is really cool, although I do argue that one should be on the standard version. It really is awesome, but you know, not my decision. Overall though, even without those first batch options, this is a fantastic kit, and I highly suggest you guys head out and grab it. Anyway, that's going to do it for this review, and we'll see you next time here on MetalmanX Builds.